we live?
Yeah, but we're not recording yet. So we're gonna start recording on the mixer in 5, 4, 3.
Identifying as a mom, daughter, conservative, friend, parental rights activist, Republican Party delegate, lover of freedom, conspiracy theorist, mama bear, and force to be reckoned with, this is Raising Liberty with Lindsey Beckham. Happy election eve day. So I know if you are anything like me, you are just so ready for Wednesday morning and hope that we have a new president or know who the new president is going to be. And we can put all of this behind us. And look, Daniel, I got to give you props because I love what you've got up in the studio here. You can't see it, but Daniel's got this huge screen up that's got Peanut, rest in peace, Peanut. And I'm so sorry that those liberals just did that to you. I hate it. It makes it
just like they're going to kill your hopes tomorrow.
So heartbreaking.
Like they killed the squirrel.
I love that you think that. So we're going to get into all the things. Shaun and I have played around with maps and how this could play out tomorrow. We have our finalized.
Yeah.
Although he up until the last second changes his.
Right.
So we're going to play around with all of that, but we're going to talk about the Iowa poll.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about
got a lot to talk about that. Actually.
Yeah, I'd love to too. There's a lot to talk about in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to talk about first is abortion.
Okay.
Because that is one of the biggest or the most single issue that a lot of people are voting on is abortion rights. And you'd agree with me, right, Shaun, on that aspect?
You're talking about like on the left maybe or people that have voted. I'd say that in January 6th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say those two things.
I want to speak to anyone out there, any woman out there who is undecided at this point. I'm sure there's not many, especially that are listening to this. But if there are, I want to speak to you for just a moment, because when Roe was overturned, that did not ban abortion. It put abortion back into the hands of the states. So right now, it's pretty easy for a woman to get an abortion. Would you not say so? They can go to a different state. There's the Plan B still available.
I disagree with you completely.
Okay,
100%. And apparently 7 out of 10 of the women in America disagree with you on that.
Okay, but what I don't think those 7 out of 10 women understand is that Kamala is promising these women that she's going to pass a federal law to reinstate abortions, correct?
I think she's implied that, right? I mean,
she wants to do away with filibuster.
Well, which is not going to happen. She can't do that.
Well, it's not going to happen. It's unconstitutional.
Well, it's not unconstitutional to get rid of the filibuster, but the Republicans are going to, by all accounts, are going to gain the majority in the Senate.
But even if she could do that,
she can't do it. It's not going to be able to do it. Yeah.
But let's just place what if. Yeah. Even if she could do that, even if she passed a federal law making abortion legal in the entire country, what do you think that's going to do if Republicans get back in office 4 years from now? We're going to do the same. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to turn it around, and you're not going to be able to get an abortion anywhere in the United States of America. So liberal women out there who are undecided, you better listen to me. Well, this is not good for either side. This is going to take abortion and make it not available whatsoever at some point.
First of all, I would say, as to the liberal position of a national right to an abortion, whatever you want to call it, or the conservative position of a national ban on abortion. I don't know if there's the federal government has the power to do that anyway. That's another
legal argument. Which is why we took it back to the states in the first place, correct?
Not exactly right. Well, I mean, I don't know that Congress has the power to come up with a law to do this.
Then why should they have had the power to put Roe in place in the very first place?
Congress didn't do anything. It was the Supreme Court. It actually derived a right from the Constitution, this right to privacy. There was like a long line of cases from Griswold versus Connecticut all the way to Roe. So it wasn't Congress actually didn't do that. It was the Supreme Court in the Roe case, and I guess it was 1974. So
okay, but what I'm saying is, if she does this, if she comes in and puts
She's
the federal law into place. But this is what she's running on, Shaun. This is the point. She's running on this, and this is how she's getting women voters on this abortion stance.
Well, the thing is,
she's making them believe she can make abortion legal in all 50 states.
I mean, I think she said that, sure. And Trump has actually said, they asked him at the debate with her, would you veto? Because J.D. Vance had said he would, and he gave a non-answer to that, if you recall that.
He has made it very clear he wants to leave it in the hands of the states. It's a state issue, and he wants to leave it there.
He wouldn't say that at the debate, though. He didn't. And you and I were watching together. He would not say it. Now, J.D. Vance said that he would do it, but he has not specifically said that.
I think he said it many times. Maybe not at the debate, but he has said it many times.
And the other problem now, okay, you want to go back to the states, which I'm fine with on that position. But then I have a problem with this state where y'all are blocking us from voting on it.
Well, listen, there are a handful of states. There are a handful of states where you can't get an abortion.
Right.
But if Kamala is elected president and she is somehow able to finagle this in the way she wants it to go.
She can't.
Exactly. Thank you.
No, she can't do it.
Thank you. But that's what I want you to say to women voters out there who are voting on abortion alone. She can't do that. She can't give you
because
the right
again,
to
I completely disagree with you because I think that the women of America feel that the Republicans have infringed upon their rights. And now we see that and I'll give you examples of that. How many states have passed ballot measures to protect reproductive rights? Ohio, Vermont, California, Michigan, Montana,
that's all good.
Kentucky,
That's fine and well.
Kansas, all
let the states do it.
Well, okay, you're right. You want to let the states do it. How come we can't do it here?
What do you mean?
Well,
how we can't do it here?
Certain groups are blocking us from having initiative.
And I have explained to you why I believe that to be the case, because we know that there are these single interest groups who come in and pour money into states.
So you don't want anybody to vote on it then, because there's interest groups.
We elect who we put into the legislature.
Okay, now we're electing because
we elect who we put into the legislature.
But you don't want the people to vote on it.
We, the people, do vote on it. We elect and we vote on the people that we put into the legislature.
That's very simple. You're not worried about some multimedia campaign from some third party. That's a load of gobbledygook.
Kamala is lying to women.
Load of gobbledygook.
She is lying to women, saying that she can make it a federal law that you can get an abortion in all 50 states. She's lying. She can't do that, number one. Number two, if she could, it would be bad for everyone in the long run, because as soon as Republicans get back in power, they'll do the same thing. Then abortion won't be available in any of the 50 states.
Well, unfortunately for you, the women voters are voting on that issue tomorrow. And we will see how that turns out.
The women voters have been lied to.
Well,
they've been absolutely lied to. Just like this poll that came out in Iowa.
Okay.
It's all lies.
How do you say the poll?
Hold on. If Kamala thought she had a chance in Iowa, would she not send her VP nominee, Tim Walz, who's the governor of the state right next door, over there to campaign if she thought it was that close in Iowa?
They weren't. The last numbers at Iowa were in September.
This poll was a joke.
Okay,
poll
really?
That was just released
Do you know
what
anything about the pollster?
I know
she's listed as one of the most reliable pollsters in America.
Well, then she should be ashamed of herself for putting this out there, because she polled 808 voters.
You know, it's funny. And then
in the most liberal part of the state.
And Trump actually attacked her today. You saw that or yesterday. But he didn't attack her in 16 or 20 when she correctly predicted the margin of his victory, maybe off by a couple of points. She didn't attack him then.
Yeah, I believe
this woman's
Trump
been wrong one time in the last 20 years.
She's about to be real wrong.
One time.
Because Iowa will not go blue.
The biggest part about this poll, what's most interesting, now I agree, I think Trump's going to win Iowa. That's not my issue.
Of course he is.
But look at the numbers of women. Kamala Harris is winning female voters over 65, 2-1. All because of that issue. You don't think that's important to them? That's why she's winning.
Do you think all the grannies in the world
because they have
believe
granddaughters?
That they should get abortions?
They got granddaughters, and they don't like the
Republicans.
Republicans.
I guess they do. They believe men can get pregnant, so I guess they think grannies can get pregnant too.
I mean, again, you have to explain why your party cannot get women voters anymore, and you haven't done that. So,
well, they got me.
Well, they got you, but
I know a lot of women voters that are voting Republican.
It's 2-1. I mean, I don't know how do you explain that? What's the other reason? Why is the reason for that?
I don't know that is the case.
I mean, if your platform is so strong for women voters, and I would say this on the counter to male voters, if the Democrats' platform is strong on male voters, they're losing them. So, I mean, obviously, women in America don't agree with you.
Well, they're being, like I said, they're being lied to. Women voters are being lied to. They are being lied to on this abortion issue. It's not going to pan out well for them either way.
Well, tomorrow we'll get a chance to see that because it's on the ballot in Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New York, and South Dakota.
He said, okay, I believe we'll see tomorrow who wins the presidency. And I believe it's going to be not
No, I'm talking
anywhere
about these
near as close
abortions.
as-
You wanted to bring up abortion, so we're
Yeah,
talking
but I'm talking
abortion's
about
on the ballot
yeah.
in these 10 states.
And like I just told you, I believe women voters are being lied to.
So what do you think the outcome of these initiatives are going to be?
I don't know. That's not what I've
I'm
been
going to say it's
looking
8
at.
out of 10 are going to pass. And the only reason Florida's not going to pass because they got a 60% threshold, which is pretty hard to meet, but it'll be over 50%.
Okay, well then women can still get abortions, right?
Yeah, and I mean, those states, sure.
But
So shouldn't we do that here? These are all ballot initiatives. Shouldn't we do that here?
Let Kamala be elected president.
Well, you tell me.
That might not be the case anymore. No, I want you to tell me, am I wrong here?
What? About what?
About if she is able to be elected president and she does that somehow, which I feel is impossible.
She can't do it. So
Exactly.
I'm not going to argue a negative.
Okay, then why is she campaigning on the fact that she can?
I mean, Trump campaigns on a lot of things that he can't do.
But
has Mexico paid for that wall yet?
I want you to
I don't know
that.
Has Mexico paid for the wall?
Abortion is the biggest issue of this election, like you have claimed it to be.
I said to women voters,
she has campaigned on that. She's lying to them, correct?
She's campaigned on she's going to protect reproductive rights. I don't know. That's a lie. That you guys would try to make it the Handmaid's Tale and end it everywhere.
No,
so that's what they're voting against.
Absolutely not. We've done.
That's what you already proved it.
We put it back into the hands of the states.
Okay, yeah, right. To continue, and then immediately they passed all the Handmaid's Tale laws. Immediately, the trigger laws.
You just sat here and told me all these states that have it on the ballot.
These are initiatives. The states are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They do it because,
but we don't have a ballot initiative
because
here.
We're blocking it because of that issue.
It's not just that issue.
Oh yeah, what other issue is it? The road repair? I mean,
no, absolutely not. It's drugs.
Okay, drugs.
It's the drug war. It's immigration.
What specifically about drugs?
Okay, Shaun, there are many issues.
What about drugs? Okay, name the drug issue.
To decriminalize drugs.
So Mississippians going to vote to decriminalize drugs?
You know as well as I do, there are many interest groups that pour money into states to pass what they want to get done. No, it is not. It is absolutely not a cop-out. It is not.
We should be able to vote on it. I'll agree with you that it should be back with the states.
You get to vote.
Let them vote.
You vote for who you elect to represent you.
Far right-wing conservatives are blocking this.
You vote for who you get to represent you. Like I do.
What about all these other states? Are they worried about the multimedia campaigns that you're worried about?
They should be.
Oh, but I mean, Florida, you would consider conservative, right?
And did you not say that their number had to be much higher?
60%. Montana is a conservative state, isn't it? Missouri, Arizona, South Dakota.
Look,
they're all letting them vote. They trust their citizens to make the decision. We don't trust our citizens to make the decision.
I mean, to be honest, there are a lot of people that really don't trust.
Well, that was the same thing in the marijuana thing. You know, where the legislature tried to trick the public with the 65A.
Yeah.
And you know what? Our public was smart enough to figure that out. And they're like, you guys are trying to trick us. So no, I think they are smart enough to do it. And if they want to be a pro-life state, I'd say let the voters decide that. If they don't,
if that's the case, then you better get somebody in the legislature that will pass the ballot initiative.
Yeah, somebody needs to have the balls to do it. So we
want
to move along.
Okay, let's move along. Where do you want to go next? What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the states.
Let's talk about the states. You want to show your map or my map?
All right. Daniel, would you pop my map up so everybody can yell?
He's not sure which one to pop up. You've changed it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna hate me before we walk out of here.
Okay, you got my map? Yeah, thank you. Okay, I got you. All right, cool. I'm looking at it.
There's your map.
All right, so what I see is Kamala Harris holding the blue wall states, and Virginia Democrats have always held that for quite several cycles now. I think she's going to hold Georgia, and she's going to flip North Carolina. The Republicans are going to pick up Arizona and Nevada. Those were states won by Biden last cycle. And she will win the election 302 electoral votes to 236.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that.
Okay. We'll show your map.
Yeah, let's show my map. So I believe Trump is going to prevail in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and that's where the RNC was held this year. And as well as in Pennsylvania. And I believe he will take North Carolina again and Arizona. And I can tell you, a lot of people might not know what I do with Moms for Liberty on the national level, but I have honestly, and we can say this, all the swing states, all of the polling has shown they're all within the margin of error.
Right.
So they're all so close that you can't really call them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. In the past year, I've seen an outpouring of support and new chapters being started because I work on the national level with Moms for Liberty as the interview team specialist. So I get a lot of the interviews when people are wanting to start new chapters. The majority of people who I've interviewed to start new chapters have been Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Arizona. Those states have the moms and dads who are stepping up and speaking out and saying this plan the Biden administration has pushed down our throats is not okay for us and it's not okay for our children. So I think those are the states where you're going to see the most parents speak out.
And that's in North Carolina?
North Carolina, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Yes, absolutely. About every interview I've gotten in the past 6 months has been in one of those 4 states.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why. The reason I think Pennsylvania is going to go blue is because the gender gap, as we discussed many times, 55 to 45 right now in the early vote, women to men. They're killing it. It's going to be hard for Trump to fix those numbers in Pennsylvania based upon that. North Carolina, I'll give you these examples. So Trump has been there 4 times this weekend. And the reason he has because his internals are showing bad numbers there. Problem he's running into is a guy named Mark Robinson. Now, the polls have got Mark Robinson anywhere going from 9 points to 20 points down. That's a heck of a shift when you're talking about a split ticket voting like you'd vote for, Josh Stein, who's a Democratic candidate, and Trump. Now, there's going to be a lot of voters that are going to do that. But I think Trump.
Let's talk about one state at a time.
Well, which one you want to go to? Pennsylvania?
Let's go back to Pennsylvania.
Sure. The gender gap is going to be too much for him to make up there.
Okay,
right now.
I think that there's going to be a lot of Trump support there, not only because of the fracking issue. That's been a big deal there.
Yeah.
Kamala and her wanting to ban fracking up until now.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a huge issue there. I also think the fact that their governor, Josh Shapiro, was kind of talked about to be the VP pick for Kamala.
Yeah.
That she did not pick him, and a lot of people thought that was because he was Jewish. I know you don't seem to think that there is going to be some negative or less votes for Kamala because of the Jewish population, whereas Kamala's and Biden's administration has been more pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. I think it is going to play a part.
No, I don't think it's going to play a part. Josh Shapiro is out there running commercials with Kamala Harris
in
the whole state.
But I think if you're Jewish, how do you feel about that? You feel like you were slighted, and it would have. I think it was very ignorant for her not to choose Josh Shapiro because Pennsylvania is. I mean, so many people have said this election will come down to Pennsylvania. Well, it seems to me like Pennsylvania she'd have it. No matter
if
what.
she loses the election, I mean, that's going to be the autopsy on it.
That she should have chosen. Should have chosen Josh.
She loses the election based on Pennsylvania.
But she went with the most radical, outrageous, insane person she could ever pick, Tim Walz.
Right. I mean, yes. I mean, well, Shapiro's a better pick.
Absolutely.
But she didn't go that route. Now, if you look at that Iowa poll, you could say that maybe Walz was the right choice because you don't, if that's accurate, if it's accurate.
But yet he hasn't campaigned in Iowa.
Well, no one has. No one has because nobody knew that this was going on there.
You're telling me that Kamala, with all the money that she's got.
Nobody's pumped polls until there was a Seltzer poll back in September that had Trump up by 4, but nobody expected it was going to be competitive. I mean,
because it's not.
And it may not be.
Because
I mean,
it's not.
I still think Trump's going to win. I got that on my map on Iowa, but I mean, what I'm seeing is what's going on with white women voters in that state, which is maybe
because they're being lied to about abortion.
Well, again, that's fine, whatever it is, but that's what's going on right now. Now, if you're talking about Pennsylvania with Shapiro, what you're going to have to look at is Bucks County. That's where Trump did the McDonald's thing. Now, that's a state that's been Democratic the last cycles.
It's a county that's been Democratic.
Yeah, because it's half of it's white working class. Now,
I interviewed with the Bucks County Beacon, and they were awful to me in that interview.
Were they? Yeah,
they were awful to me.
Yeah,
they spun everything I said.
It hasn't gone Republican, and I don't even know how long. But Hillary only won it by like 1.6 percentage points. Now Biden hit it by 4.4 in 2020. Trump's trying to hit it there because if he can get that county, then Pennsylvania is going to probably go his way if that starts pushing. So that's something for everybody to look at tomorrow night is Bucks County.
There's such a rural population of voters in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
but I think people are counting out, and they shouldn't be because those people are going to go vote on election day.
Yeah, I mean, I would think most likely they would. Now, there's also been historic Republican early vote turnout in all the states, right? And that's because Trump has pushed them like he didn't do in 2020 to go vote early.
Well, now, he originally did that, but here lately he's been saying, no, I want you to go on election day. We need to know this. We need to have the counts done on election day. I guess he's getting a little fearful that there could be some.
I think the fear is that, like, did all his votes show up too early? And that's what he's worried about now. That's what I saw today. Are Republicans going to turn out because he's pushed them? You even saw it in this state. I've never seen so many people. We don't have early voting.
Oh, I voted on Friday afternoon, and I
Right.
waited in line for over an hour. And I mean, I don't know that many people wait that long in line on election day.
Yeah.
In a normal cycle, but this is not a normal cycle.
Mhm.
I mean, this is the biggest election of our lifetime. And I
Well,
know
that's
people
every
say that at
election.
every
Yeah,
election.
say that every
I know, I
election.
get the people, and I know that you're this history nerd that knows about every election from the beginning of time.
I would say 1864. If I
Okay,
was
well,
someone
you
who's
know
gonna
what? I
ask
wasn't
me,
alive
but,
then.
Yeah, would be the most important election. I guess if you're saying our lifetime, different, but
Would you not say this is probably the most important election?
I mean, I don't know. Every election is important for different reasons. I don't know if I'm gonna buy into all the hyperbole that this is the most one. The next one will be the most important one. And I mean, they've said that so they've used that line so much that
Yeah.
over the decades that it's hard for me to take it serious.
Well, when I look at Iowa and I look at North Carolina, the amount of voters that have registered in the past 4 years, Republican, that have registered Republican, it's like a landslide towards the right.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused as to why people think those two states might go blue.
Wait, you're talking about Pennsylvania and
Well, no, I was talking about Iowa and North
Iowa.
Carolina.
Well, Iowa, again, I think it's an outlier. I mean, I've said again, I think he's gonna win Iowa. I think what you get from that poll, it's not necessarily the result, is the data based upon the gender gap. And what you see, so now what we know is true is the women voters they did talk to in the poll. Whether the poll is reflective of the population, it probably isn't, you know?
Well, it was 808. And
Right,
usually
but
they
that's-
say they want, what, at least 1,500 to have an accurate
Something
poll?
like that, yeah. So, I mean, but you still got a good glimpse of female white women voters, because Iowa, let's face it, is all white. You get a good basis of what the Midwest is thinking. On a small sample, it's a little small sample, but still, if you're the Trump campaign, you're concerned because that's showing that you're losing female voters over 65, the 2-to-1 margin. Now, what's the group that votes the most? Voters
Women.
over 65.
Oh,
And
well, women.
people over 65 vote the most. So that's concerning to you just looking at that. Forget the fact that you're still going to probably win Iowa.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't know any grannies that are all, let's go have abortions. I don't know any grannies that are all,
Yeah, but you're talking about antelope.
let's castrate children and let's call them by their pronouns. I don't know grannies saying that.
But I mean, you're talking about anecdotal evidence. I'm talking about the actual data that's coming in. So
The actual data is not really showing us anything because, like I said at the beginning, this is all within the margin of error. Everything we're looking at.
well, what's not in our margin of error, you're right. Each state is, but the gender gap is not in the margin of error.
But we
It's
don't know how
clear
many
that-
people are going to come out on election day to vote.
We don't know that yet, but we do know that she's winning women voters by about 14 points, which has been kind of true for Democrats the last couple cycles. And he's winning male voters between 5 and 7, maybe 9 is the highest. So we do know those things. I mean, we can glean that from it. Now we don't know which way the states are going to go, but we can see which way the genders are going. So, or sexes, as you like to put it. Right?
Yeah, well, there's two sexes.
Right,
there are
right.
0 genders.
Yeah, exactly. So
Gender is what someone has come up with and made people believe is whatever they feel they are.
right. So
Which, I mean, if you're Kamala, you want to take tax-paying dollars and use that to change the sex of a prisoner who's
Well-
been who's a felon.
well, we
in
can
jail.
we can do this all night if you want to, but I'm just saying we've already reached the end of this campaign, so I think we need to
Yeah.
talk about what's going on with the trends and stuff. Because I mean, that argument over is really done. I mean, the cases have been settled. Like you're either going to vote or you're going to vote now. It's done. Whether
Yeah.
and a lot of
You're right.
half the country's going to hate the result. I mean, the other
So,
half is going to like it.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Now
So
there's a
about
few counties
Wisconsin.
there, yeah, that are kind of big too, and it's whatchamacallit, it's the counties that are just around Madison, Wisconsin, like Sauk County, and there's another one called Ozaukee County. Kind of all the Wisconsin counties have like Indian names,
Mhm.
and yeah, you're gonna see like Osaka voted for Trump by about 12 points, and in 2020, but they had voted for him by 19 points in 2016.
Right.
That's been trending downward for him. So if she does better there, that's going to help her out, offset the rural counties that she's got to deal with there. She is in some problems in Wisconsin. I agree with that. That's
Yeah.
not a lock in for her at all. Like I think
No,
Michigan
I think Michigan
probably-
is. I think Michigan's going to go
yeah,
Kamala.
I think Michigan is probably it, but I think Wisconsin could be a.
I really feel Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are going to go red.
See, I mean, I'm more likely to say Wisconsin would go red than Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania's got such a long history, Democratic infrastructure, and the way the women are voting in that state right now.
There's also a big black population there too, though. And we've seen the African American vote going more Trump.
Somewhat, but not certainly not black females. Like, none of them are voting Trump. It's black males. So it's like, I think he's doing the best any Republican's ever done with black males. But I think he's still at something like 17 to 20%. I'd have to look that up again. It's better than any Republican's ever done, though. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, if he can knock into her pockets in Philly on that, that's going to hurt her because the traditional Democratic vote. But I mean, I hate to say this, and I think a lot of my black friends will tell you this. Relying on the black vote isn't the best. I've been on the Democratic side for a long time. Like, relying to get out and vote for you is not the easiest thing either. So
I have such a problem with people voting Democrat because they hate him as much as they do. I think that's where my biggest issue lies. Because as you know, I'm not a fan.
Well, I mean, don't you think, Mitt Romney's a Mormon, not moron. Mormon's not a moron.
Did you just call Mitt Romney a moron?
No, I love Mitt Romney. And this state is probably this is evangelical Christian as you get, and they voted overwhelmingly for him against Barack Obama. And they voted for John McCain, a man who they all Trump folks hate now. And I knew he's obviously deceased.
Well, let's not go there.
But overwhelmingly because they hated Barack Obama that much. So I don't think it's that crazy to vote against somebody you don't like. I mean, that happens on both sides.
But when you're voting for someone like her,
but I mean, you would
really, she's been in office.
You would have said that about any Democrat that was running against him. I mean, did it matter?
Especially someone that's been in office for 4 years now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the narrative would have been the same on the right, whether it was her or Shapiro or Mark Kelly or whoever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, what's one Democrat that the right, and I'll jump on the left in a second, that the right's ever said something good about? I mean, I don't. I'll wait.
Wait, hold on now. A Democrat we've said something good about?
Yeah, that you would be like, okay, go be president.
I don't know if I'd want anyone to be president.
Well,
but
see, there you go, right? You'd make the same argument with somebody else. I mean,
no, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's the radical.
Mm-hmm.
It's the radical, the pro-transgender, I mean, where
not
my
Hillary
passion
Clinton
lies.
Because you like her. I forgot about that.
Look, I will be completely honest and say that I thought Hillary would win by a landslide. I did not vote. And I want to clear something up too. I said in our last podcast, I did not vote in that election.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I've never liked Donald Trump. I still don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously praying to God he wins this election because it's better than what it could be. But I didn't vote because I had, at that point, early November, my husband died October 19th. I was pregnant with twins. I was 31 weeks pregnant with twins. Just lost my husband. That's why I didn't vote. It wasn't because I was a Democrat. Clay Edwards, if you're listening to this. It was not because I was a Democrat.
Yeah.
It was because I literally, that was the last thing I was concerned with at that point in time in my life. Kanye.
Okay, there you go. See, voted for Kanye in 2020. All right.
My, how things have changed once I really got into understanding what's going on.
Right.
And the narratives that are being pushed by each party. I think it's going to be a really sad day, a really sad morning, Wednesday morning, if this election is called for the Democrats early on. It's going to be a really sad morning for the mamas like my friend Ann, who lost her son due to the fentanyl crisis, the fentanyl coming across the border that took her son. It's going to be a really sad day for moms like that, for moms who have had violence against their children because of illegal immigrants coming across the border. When the borders
can we save this for the post-election stuff and talk about the freaking election?
Okay, go on.
Can we talk about the election?
Go ahead. Next state.
What's going on? Where we go? Okay, Georgia. What do you think about Georgia?
I think Georgia could go either way. And the reason is because Trump has done a lot of attacking of their governor, who they love in Georgia.
Yeah.
So I gave Georgia to Kamala.
You did? Okay.
I did. I gave
Can you
Kamala
pull that
Georgia.
back up?
Yeah.
Daniel, so I can see that again.
Yeah, I gave Georgia to Kamala.
Okay, you got Georgia going to Kamala, and that's because you think with the Brian Kemp stuff?
Yeah, I think the Brian Kemp stuff is going to hurt us there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've got a huge contingent of white suburban women in the counties that surround Atlanta, especially. And I feel like
The
they're
ones
gonna
that have
come out.
my face on the dartboard.
Yes,
They're
the
not
ones that have your face on the dartboard that hate Monster Liberty,
Mhm.
they're out in force in Georgia. I
Yeah.
think that and the early vote there has been, but now though there's a good sign for the Republicans too. Though if you look at it, the rural counties in Georgia have outpaced the suburban and urban counties.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch too. Where
Yeah, and
that
part of me wanted to give it to Trump, but I just
I was close on that one, to be honest with you, because I'm unsure. That was one of my where I feel
Atlanta's
pretty
so big.
yeah, I mean, I feel confident. Like I know you don't. You're against North Carolina. I feel pretty confident about North Carolina and Pennsylvania, but Georgia is one I was iffy on because the rural counties are really getting out there to vote. So those are all very pro-Trump. What you're going to want to look at is Fayette County, and that has always gone Republican. Mitt Romney won it by 31 points in 2012. Trump won it by 19 in 2016, and then it went down to 12 points in 2020. Now, Raphael Warnock lost it by a point in the 2020. He's a Democratic senator by a point in 2022 runoff. So if Fayette County starts tipping Democrat, Kamala's going to win Georgia. Now, if it's skewing still harder Republican, I think Trump's going to win. But I think that was one of my toughest states to call because of what's going on. And I really was.
Well, and I told you this. I didn't change anything on my map by the polls in these swing states because I just don't know that we can tell.
I don't think we can tell anything about the polling. That's why mine are not based on the polls. Mine are everything else I'm reading.
And mine are based on personal experience, who I've talked to in these states.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. The polls, everything's in the margin of error, so it could go either way. It could be a landslide for Trump, it could be a landslide for Kamala.
And that's the crazy thing about this election. And maybe I think this is the first time in a presidential election that I've been like super tuned in. So this may be the case every time, but this is an election that could come down to one electoral vote or could be a landslide for either candidate because every one of these 7 states is 7 of them, right?
Yeah.
6 or 7 are they're all within the margin of error. So we just don't know.
You don't know. And you've got Nevada as blue on your map and I have it as red on mine.
Yeah.
So why do you have yours blue?
Because I turned those swing states red that I know have parents they are fighting for children.
Okay. Nevada.
I based mine solely on personal interaction.
Okay. Well, what I based mine on, the reason I gave it to Trump is because Republicans have done better than with early vote and ground game. That's like the one state they're doing really well in ground game in there than they ever have. And and it's looking to me, and it's been closer and closer every year. It took like 6 days to call or more last time. So I really feel like Trump's going to be able to pull that one out. Especially, the service workers are out there and they like his whole no tax on tips thing.
The tariffs, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no tax on tips, not tariffs.
Okay.
And so I think, he's had a pretty good effort out there. So I felt like that was going to go. I feel like that one's going to go his way. I was iffy on it too, not as much as I was Georgia, but I still put it in the red column because I see that dude. That Arizona, I think, is his. You
gave him Arizona.
I did give him Arizona. I think Arizona's his. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna win it by more than the polls are showing right now. Now that's a state that the gender gap has actually switched. It's a there's more men voting than women. It's like the only state where that's happening. So that's where I think that he's gonna, that one's gonna be interesting because there's also a Senate race between Ruben Gallego and Carrie Lake. Now Gallego is going to beat Carrie Lake, right?
And this is what's so interesting too, is that there are states where people are going to vote Republican president,
right,
and then Democrat in the Senate.
Yeah, there's several states like that. And if you look at the map there, Arizona's one. There's like I said, Carrie Lake, Ruben Gallego. Carrie Lake's been doing better the last few weeks than she was, but Gallego is still most likely going to win that state. There's going to be what's called Trump Gallego voters because I think, again, I believe Trump's going to win that state overwhelmingly. So you're going to see that. Ohio, there's a Senate race between Sherrod Brown and Bernie Moreno. Moreno is getting closer to Brown, and he could win. But if Brown has been the incumbent senator, and if he pulls it out, I mean, Ohio's going to Trump. It's not a swing state anymore.
Yeah.
So you're going to have Trump, Sherrod Brown voters. Same thing in Pennsylvania. If Pennsylvania goes to Trump, I believe Bob Casey's going to beat David McCormick there. Now that one's close too. I still think Casey's going to pull it out. You're going to have Trump, McCormick voters. And
it's all very strange.
And if you go to Texas,
can't even really look at whose party affiliation.
Not when it comes to the Senate as much this year, which is interesting. Like, go to Texas, Ted Cruz is just an unpopular guy. He's going to win, right? But he's unpopular.
A lot of people love Ted Cruz.
Well, flying Ted, like when he left during the whole Cancun thing because he was, he was too cold. Well, Colin Allred is running pretty close to him. So there's a lot of Trump Allred voters that are in that state. It's just it's
just an insane election.
It's a really, really strange one because you're seeing like that. And that's when I go back to North Carolina and where my prediction about Kamala Harris winning that case. Now you're going to see Trump, Josh Stein voters. Josh Stein's the gubernatorial candidate because Mark Robinson is doing he's doing worse than any.
Don't talk crap about Mark
He's
Robinson.
doing worse than any gubernatorial candidate
I don't want to hear it.
since that truck driver ran against Phil Bryant.
Well, yeah,
like that's how bad it is.
Because the Democrats lied so much about it.
Yeah, well, he was at the porn star talking about him being a black Nazi.
I don't want to hear it.
And doing like what I mean,
fake news.
No, he was masturbating to transvestites. That's what he was on the blog saying.
Fact check this.
He was on the blog saying I'm masturbating to transgender people.
No.
Before it was cool, by the way. Before it was cool. But before it was cool. Before and Trump called him like the next MLK, remember? And so like that's kind of weighted him down there.
And look, and I'll say this, okay? I will say this. I was a little perturbed at the fact that after the rally last weekend, he made the comment that, what was the comedian's name?
The which one?
The comedian, the Puerto Rico.
Oh, Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. So when he made the comment, when he pulled up in his garbage truck in Wisconsin,
right,
and made the comment that he didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
See, that irritates me.
When he says he doesn't know somebody?
Yes. At that point, own it. Double down. Own it. Make the point that America should be able to laugh.
Well,
Let's be able to laugh. Let's joke and be able to laugh. Look, Saturday Night Live does the greatest skits about political elections, and they've done a great job.
Yeah.
Until they brought Kamala
on Saturday Night. Kamala showed up.
But own it and say America
Daniel
should be
watched it.
America should be able to laugh. Like just own that and say I don't think I did anything wrong. Don't back up and say I don't know who that is.
That's kind of what Trump's done. Like his whole time in his political career, he's been like, I
that
don't know you.
angry.
It's like he's like I always my joke for years has been if Barron stole someone's lunch money and like got caught, he'd be like, Barron, I don't know. I don't know the guy. I mean, ask Melania. Who's he?
I'd have so much more respect if he just owned it and said, look, it's no big deal. It was a joke.
Right.
Why can't you laugh at a joke?
Yeah.
That to me would have been a better answer than showing up in a garbage truck saying you don't know who the comedian is that you invited to your rally.
And I didn't even think the joke was that big a deal. It's I mean, it was kind of funny. I mean, I don't think Puerto Ricans are really going to be that mad about it either. The guy, the Hinchcliffe was on the Tom Brady. This is one thing where I'll give Trump a break. I mean, everybody let this go. Like it was
it wasn't only that, but then they made the point that there had been a Nazi rally there, however many years before. Who cares?
Yeah.
How many events have been held at Madison Square Garden since then?
Yeah, that's pretty
Somebody tell me.
Yeah, that was. I mean. The only thing I will
insanity.
say, the guy's funny, but if I was on the campaign and they showed me the jokes, which they had showed them the jokes beforehand, I'm like, yeah, maybe this is not a good guy to have here, 5 days before the election.
Well, they cut some of them out.
Yeah, one where he's going to call Kamala the C word or something. They're like, you can't say that. You can call the Puerto Ricans garbage, but we can't go here. That's what
that might have been a more accurate statement.
Well, if he had said that, I'm sure that would not have gone over so well.
I'm sure it wouldn't have.
With the more women voters that y'all are losing, I don't think that would have helped.
Well, Megyn Kelly and Nikki Haley both kind of made comments after the rally that who is advising him, because if he is wanting to get women voters, this is not the way to do it.
Because it looks like bro fest.
Yeah, it's a bro. It looks like a bro fest, and so I feel like now they did have my friend Tiffany Justice there, who gave the invocation, who did an outstanding job. You heard her speak; she's incredible. But I do think it may have been just a little bit too much. We've said this. I think we've both said this. He's done so much better on the podcast circuit, being more relatable and a real person and being able to show that funny side and not this, I have bigger crowds than you.
He's very good on the podcast. The rallies do hurt him because he gives the media those little clips, like when he said yesterday, he said, well, I don't care if I don't mind if they shoot the press or something like that. It's like,
I just want to know, when are they going to shut him up?
Well, it's too late
for the next 12 hours. I mean, come on.
He can't possibly say something else that's going to piss everybody off.
Don't underestimate Donald Trump.
I guess he could, tonight or whatever. There's still time.
There's still
some
time.
undecided voters in Pennsylvania that he hasn't made yet. That's it. We'll see. But and the other interesting thing about the whole thing is I think we're going to see more of a result earlier than we did in 2020, obviously. It's going to be more akin to 2016. Now, if you look back to those times, the race was called around 2:30 in the morning. I
in
don't know.
2016?
Yeah, I don't know. That may happen this time. The things to watch for really are
Well, there's counties. We've got counties to watch for. So, and these are not even swing states, but Hamilton County, Indiana.
right.
So they've had the quickest or the fastest shift towards Democrat over the last few elections.
Yeah, and it's going to come back first. And so if Hamilton County goes to the Democrats for the first time, then you know kind of the way the Midwest is going to go. It gives you a bellwether of that. Now, if it stays Republican, that'll kind of give you a bellwether of that too. So I think you'll see
Osceola,
that.
Florida. Osceola County, Florida.
Right, that's another
has
one.
the largest Puerto Rican.
Right, we'll see if the
population.
Puerto Ricans are pissed. You know,
Right,
basically that'll be
yeah.
the barometer of that. The also easier, you're going to get poll numbers closing in, you know, Pennsylvania and
North Carolina
rather early
because
now,
they're that
on
side of the
eastern.
country.
Yeah. North Carolina actually counts a little fat. Pennsylvania's got it takes them forever the way they set their law. By the way, it's a Republican legislature too, so they it just takes them longer to do it because they don't start counting before election day. Now Michigan does. They start counting the early votes beforehand. Pennsylvania can't start till tomorrow. So that's what delays it there. North Carolina doesn't have that, so we might get a North Carolina result. Now, if you see a Trump win in North Carolina early in the evening, that's going to be a really big positive for him. That means that things are going the right direction for him, starting with, you know, the Sun Belt sweep, right? Now, if Kamala Harris wins North Carolina, that's a danger zone for him.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a danger zone kind of situation for him. I think it'll be easy to tell if we can see kind of where North Carolina, then Michigan closes. It's still half of Michigan's like on Central Time, someone's on the Eastern. So if Michigan and North Carolina or Kamala Harris's, you know, the race is probably over at that point.
And Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania, it's really, there's so much of this.
She can win the election without many people said. But yes, if whoever wins Pennsylvania,
whoever wins needs to win Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want it because if you give it, if you gave it to, you know, it'd be hard for her to win.
She does have a quicker path to victory or an easier path to victory than he does. He has to win more of these swing states.
Yeah, I mean, all she's got to do is hold, and this would be the simple fact about the blue wall: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, okay, whether I know you don't, but like, let's say
she's not going to win all three of those. There's no way.
We're just playing it out here, right? If she does, he can take North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. She still wins 270, 268. So that's like all she has to do is hold the blue wall. So that's a much easier path.
I think Wisconsin and Pennsylvania will go to him, but if not both, at least one will go to him.
Well, I mean, you know, if you put it like, if he wins Pennsylvania and North Carolina, and she wins Wisconsin and Michigan, and he wins Arizona and Nevada, he wins the election.
Right.
So if he sweeps the Sun Belt, and look, she can win Georgia in that scenario too, and he still wins. So he can lose Georgia and still win the election. Now, if she somehow wins Nevada, right? If he only wins Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, she wins the election. It's that kind of close. He's got to do really well in the Sun Belt to pull it off.
I think anyone who believes their party, this is a she-win and it's going to be so easy, they're mistaken. This is like, it's down to vote, like a number of votes, I think, in these swing states. And these swing states are what's going to decide the election.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be about turnout tomorrow. Who gets out there and votes? That's gonna be huge. There's already been historic early vote. We've seen that. You know, there's some states where that's favoring Democrats, some states where that's favoring Republicans. Arizona is my example, and Nevada for where it's favoring Republicans a lot, and Pennsylvania is my example where it's favoring Democrats quite a bit. So,
but even so, we don't know who's crossing over.
We don't know that.
Because this is such a.
My inclination is that since it's a 10% gap between women and men, that it's women crossing over to Harris than the other way around. But,
so historically, and I say that, and I mean the last two presidential elections, we've seen this. They have underestimated Trump in the polls because of this silent I guess
Trump
they want
voter.
to call the silent Trump voter, someone who's afraid to say they're voting for Trump because of the backlash they might get.
Correct. Yeah.
But happened. When they get into the polling booth, they actually do cast their vote for Trump.
Yeah.
So they've said that they've
massively overcompensated for it.
Right.
What's going on now is the pollsters are scared shitless, basically, of getting this wrong. So no one's saying who's going to win because, you know, 2016, obviously they got it wrong. 2020, it was closer than they ever thought it was going to be. They thought Biden was going to win. The polls all were saying
so they got it wrong again.
They got it wrong again. Now they got it wrong again in 2022. Because what they
They
2022
had
they
that
predicted
red
this
wave
red
coming
wave
through,
that
and it
never
didn't happen.
happened.
Did not happen.
No, it didn't happen. So, it was the first election post Dobbs.
Trust me, I was not happy about that.
Yeah,
I
I
wanted
mean,
that red wave.
but if you look at 2022, the polls were showing you it was going to be a wipeout, right? The Republicans were going to do a red
And so
wave.
now they don't know what to do.
Yeah,
how
now
to
now they're
compensate.
like, wait a second, what do we do now? We don't know how to poll
Because
anymore.
now there could be this secret ballot for Kamala because
That's
there are women
correct.
who, I guess, want to vote on women's rights because they've been lied to about what she's going to do with abortion.
Yeah, there's this campaign where like there's stickers in women's restrooms
Yeah, that's
saying
ridiculous.
you don't have to tell your husband you're voting for Kamala. So
Women, listen to your husbands.
But the secret Kamala voter is a thing now. And so like there's a lot of people that are pollsters that are saying that they think they're underpolling Kamala Harris's support. And I don't know if that's true. That's just a theory out there. And
They're so close in these states. I think it's just so we just don't know.
So, that could be something that's happening. If it is happening, then it's going to be a landslide in her direction. Now, again, I don't trust any of these pollsters because I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can look at is when they poll, who's voting who. Like, are males voting for Trump or women voting for Harris? Now, you can see that, right? Or you can see who they've said, right? So that,
I see what the polls say, and I guess just because those aren't the women I know, it's hard for me to believe. I don't know a bunch of women voting for Harris, and I don't know a bunch of grannies voting for Harris. But
Well, I mean,
I'm also I'm kind of in an echo chamber where
right
I'm
in the
surrounded by
South.
people
Yeah.
who believe like I do.
Yeah, I mean, in nationwide, it's just a different story. I mean, like, even if you don't believe like today, you can look at the historical patterns. So the gender gap was pronounced towards Democrats with women the last, I don't know, 3 cycles. It's been going that way. Like last time, I think Biden got plus 13 with the female vote. So, I mean, he won it and Hillary won it, obviously, not by as much as Biden. Biden, I think, actually won it by more. So it's been trending that way. And now then we're in the post Dobbs era, which has kind of exacerbated this, or at least they're theorizing it's going to exacerbate it even more. So, I mean, it's that's just a fact that's happening, and you can back that up.
And I mean, I get it, and I understand why people who are so in support of abortion and women's rights would feel that way. I think they're messing up terribly by not looking at the big picture when it comes to that. She can't do what she's promising them.
Right. Well,
and it's if even if she could, it's going to make it worse for both sides in the long run.
Well, I mean, we're going to see, but it looks like they're heading that direction. Now, is it going to be enough? Is Trump going to be overtake that with men? That's kind of that's his challenge. He's got to get enough male voters out there to overcome the deficit with women that he's got. Because now, by the way, his deficit with women is worse than her deficit with men.
Right.
So he's got a lot more work to do.
So they say.
Yeah, so they say, according to what it is, right? Yeah, that's what they're saying. So he's got a lot more work to do on that front if they show up. And this is not me being a liberal saying this. Charlie Kirk said this last week.
You're right.
Charlie
Absolutely.
Kirk was
when
saying,
he saw that there weren't nearly as many men who had voted in early voting and in absentee voting, he said this. We've got to get the men out to the polls or we will lose this.
Yeah, you can't win. I mean, I think it's simple for everybody to look at this election this way. It's simple in terms of if more women vote than men enough, she's going to win. And now if men cut that, then he's going to win. But that's it. I mean, that's going to be this election here. And I've never been able to say that in any election before, but this one is very striking that way. And again, that's why I know the Iowa thing, I don't believe it, but I believe the women numbers of what way that's trending. And that's what I found was most interesting about that. And now if that's true, and we'll see tomorrow, and I can't wait till Wednesday morning to break all this down. But if that's true, then it's going to be a wipeout in the Midwest. So, but if it's not true, if that's all completely fake, well, then it's not going to be.
I think that poll is just the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I mean,
I know we've been arguing about this all day.
Well, I mean, the reason, I ordinarily would agree with you. Like, I think he's going to win it, but the reason that I give credence because this woman is literally one of the most respected pollsters in the country. I mean, and
but she just messed up.
Well, and it could be. I mean, everybody messes up, and this could be a big mess up. But she got it right in 20 and 16. In 16, when nobody else did, right? She got it right.
And she screwed herself this year.
She got it right. She predicted Obama winning the 2008 Iowa caucus correctly when nobody thought.
Then how come she doesn't know what an R and a D is?
Think about this, Lindsay. In 2008, when Obama was running the Iowa caucus, he was a black man in a state that's like what 85, 90% white, and she correctly predicted him winning that. I mean, she's just a main Iowa pollster. If you look at her track record, ever we get out of here, I want to show you some of this stuff. It's pretty impressive what she's done. Now, I don't agree with.
She just really messed up them because what she is saying is so inaccurate.
Mm.
I wholeheartedly believe that. I think she's absolutely wrong.
Well, again, I think Trump's gonna.
Was this propaganda? I don't know.
I don't think it's propaganda. Like, I mean, she's gonna ruin her whole history of being correct just to
Well, she
blow it for
also
Trump.
got on the news and said she didn't know what the difference between an R and a D was.
I mean, if she, why did she predict it correctly for him in 16 and 20? I mean, if she was, you know, why did she just say, oh, no, Biden was going to win in 20?
There is no way that number has changed as much as she claims it has in 6 weeks.
Well, good thing we got an election tomorrow, and we will see.
Right. We'll see me be right.
Okay.
And you be wrong, and we'll
Don't
get to
think
laugh
that's
about
the way
it.
it's going to go. But I think you're going to be crying conservative tears. Is that what you guys like to say?
There will be some big liberal tears being shed. If this all ends tomorrow, who knows?
If it does, but
and if there's not a civil war that breaks out on the streets,
well, we'll have a lot of good data by the end of tomorrow night, I think, and we kind of
I think so.
Kind of see where it's going. You know, it's going to be a lot different than 20 in terms of that. We're going to be able to see the way it's heading. I think we'll know who's going to win by late into the early hours of Wednesday. I think who's eventually, because it's going to take Pennsylvania a while to call it. I get that, but I think we're going to know which way it's trending pretty good.
But this is something I've asked you because you've been involved in elections much longer than I have. Why is it that for so many years they were able to call an election on election night, yet all of a sudden, now that we have computers and even with votes that you have to fill in by hand votes, they still run them through a computer and they give you an analysis. So why is it taking us so much longer to call states in a presidential election than it has ever been?
Well, I mean, it's only 2020 is our only example for that, right?
But why?
I mean, well, that's easy because there was a more.
Because it was stolen?
No, it was not stolen, and you don't even believe it was stolen. So
I don't know what I believe.
You don't even believe it was stolen.
I don't know what I believe about that, but I do think. Well, I do think it's.
I think it was because there was an influx of there was so many more people voting by mail then because of COVID. Well, and I think that's not going to happen.
That's what I've told
time.
you. I think COVID could have been part of it.
But
I don't know that it was stolen in a way that they didn't actually have the votes to count.
Right.
But I do think they could have pulled something like COVID.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you the reason it took long because there was more people voting. Now, there's not going to be as much people voting by mail this time, so it's not going to take as long.
We'll see. What if it does? Are you going to change your stance on that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody's steal. I don't know why it's taking so long. If it takes that long again, I don't know why. There's got to be a reason for it. I don't know what the reason is. I'm not an election expert when it comes to those things.
But I can remember in 2020 them saying that it has always historically taken days to. No, it hasn't. They've always called it.
Yeah, I mean, generally, as far as I can remember, they have. But, you know, also, I mean, thinking about it, we also have lived in different political climates, too, where certain states, I mean, these swing states didn't mean what they mean now. I mean, it used to be Florida was the one. You wanted to get Florida. Yeah. And now Florida's out of the picture for the Democrats. So, I mean.
Thank you, Ron DeSantis.
But, I mean, well, it happened before him, but the, you know,
he's helped.
Trump won in 16. I can't remember. Obama may have lost it in 12, too. I know he won it in 08, but I don't know about 12. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Like Ohio was a swing state at one point. Well, it's not anymore. You know, now, I mean, Trump opened up the blue wall into being swing states. Those were solidly Democratic states. You know, there was one point where, I mean, Arizona was never a swing state. Now it's a swing state. It used to be always Republican. Georgia has not been a swing state till 2020.
Right.
It was always
North
Republican.
Carolina, I mean.
Yeah, North Carolina has only gone Democratic once in like last, 40, 50 years?
Yeah.
And 2008.
And I don't think they'll do it again.
Your buddy Mark Robinson, the Black Nazi, is going to help him out with that.
You know what? Do not speak ill of Mark Robinson.
And the transgender porn that he likes and all that stuff. I mean,
you're ridiculous.
He says it on the website.
He did not. That is AI.
It's not AI.
Yes, it is. It's
He's
fake
a black
news.
Nazi.
Fake news.
He's a black Nazi that likes transgender porn.
You call me a Nazi all the time, and
he's a black Nazi.
Furthest thing from it.
And he's, you know, I mean, we could read his posts because I had all those up.
Those are not real.
Those are not real.
Claim those are real. Okay. You have no idea if they're real or not.
Wasn't he on Ashley Madison too and everything?
Oh, weren't all the Republicans?
Pretty much.
They claim. They claim.
Most of them.
So if okay, let me ask you this. In your opinion, in your educated opinion, if the Republicans had put any other candidate up as the nominee, would it be this close?
Absolutely not. No.
So what you're saying to me
versus Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris.
In this situation, what you're saying to me is that the hate for Trump is greater than the love for our country.
I don't agree with the way you frame that.
Okay.
But, I think people think that January 6th was a big deal, and they are voting for the love of their country. So no, I don't agree with the way you framed that. But
Okay.
but I agree that the whatchamacallit, I agree that the dislike of Donald Trump is driving these people. I do agree with that.
To get out and vote for someone
Yeah,
who's
I think
not
they'll vote for
qualified?
I think they'll vote for Joe Biden's head in a formaldehyde jar, you know? I mean, I don't think it really like
And speaking of that,
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest negative, in my opinion, towards Kamala Harris, is that after that first debate,
Mhm.
the Joe Biden Donald Trump debate of this election season, she got on Fox News. She got on every news station she could get on and she said, Joe Biden is of sound mind. I'm with him all the time. He's with it. He's going to be the best presidential candidate that we could have. If
Right.
that doesn't prove that she's a liar, that she is willing to hand our country to a man who's obviously mentally incapable of being president, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, but there's a lot of people on my side that think January 6th was a big deal. And you guys don't seem to understand how
Well,
we
I'm talking
feel
about this
that.
was just a few months
Well, I know,
ago.
but I'm saying you don't understand. It doesn't matter how long January 6th was ago. There's people that feel that way, and that's why they're not voting for Kamala Harris. They're voting against that.
But there are
And you have
people
to,
who feel that
and you're never going to convince them like, oh, well, you should just vote for Trump. Forget about that. That was just a, guided tour. They're not going to do that.
No, there are people that still feel that he won that election.
Well, I know.
And
then
I don't know if he did or not.
There's other people that don't feel that way, and that's why they're voting that way. My dad's a lifelong Republican, but the only reason he's voting against Donald Trump is because of January 6th. I mean, he's voted for
your
Reagan.
dad's also an immigrant, but he came here the right way. He did it the right way.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, but he is voting against Trump specifically because of January 6th.
But is he pro?
And he's never voted for a Democrat ever.
Is he pro allowing every single illegal immigrant to come in, the way that Kamala has allowed?
He's not, but those issues don't matter when it comes to a lot of people to what happened on January 6th.
But it matters to moms who are seeing their kids die from fentanyl overdoses.
Well, you guys should have put up a different candidate then. I mean, and then you could make these arguments to me. That would have been better.
Look, I tried.
JD Vance is fantastic. He's great.
And here's the thing.
I'd have voted for him easily.
But whoever we elect is one heartbeat away from the VP stepping on board. So we've got JD Vance and Tim Walz. We saw that. We saw that debate.
Yeah, JD Vance won easily. But if you should have put up a different, you endorsed Ron DeSantis, he would have been fine.
Look, I led the Mamas for DeSantis campaign here in Mississippi. I was all about Ron DeSantis, and as you know, I'm absolutely adore Vivek Ramaswamy.
Right.
I would much rather have either of those guys running in this election.
Well, I mean,
that's not what I got.
That's not what you got, and then that's why you get the side arguing this. Now they wouldn't be able to argue it if you had Ron DeSantis, or if you had JD Vance, or if you had Chris Christie or Nikki Haley or whoever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that argument wouldn't exist, but you didn't, and so we got this tomorrow, and we'll see what happens then.
We'll see what happens.
I think we're about
it's gonna be very interesting.
Yes, it will be. I'll be on the radio for about 1 million hours tomorrow. So,
all right. So,
yep.
Your final prediction is Kamala's taking it.
Yeah, Kamala takes it. I think can't even remember 302 to 235, something like that. Holds the blue wall, takes North Carolina and Georgia. Trump takes back Arizona and Nevada, and that's the ball game.
We will see. And I have Trump taking North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Arizona.
Yep.
Which gives it to him, what, 275?
Pretty close with that. Yeah, I can't remember your numbers. Yeah.
So we'll see.
We will see. Well, everybody get ready to stay up late tomorrow. So
stay up late and let's make America great again.
A new way forward. How about a new way forward?
No. All right. We'll see if we're still speaking here in a few minutes after we get off of this. All right. We'll be back. See y'all next week sometime.